Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher. Welcome to the Sweetwater Minute. This time out, we are joined by a new addition to the family here at Sweetwater. This is Nick Virgilio.
Hello.
Thanks for being here. We appreciate you coming in.
Pleasure.
You are working as the First Call session drummer in Sweetwater Studios. You're creating educational content for our website, doing demonstration videos, product reviews, all kinds of stuff you got going on here at Sweetwater. We're glad to have you.
Thanks. It's exciting.
So you've done all these incredible projects. You've worked with Tears for Fears, with Genesis, with all kinds of artists, including Eric Burdon and the Animals, all kinds of people, done solo records, and of course Spock's Beard as well. You're well known for being the drummer there for many, many years. Tell us how you got started. How did you begin playing, and what drew you to music?
I don't really know. I can't give a definite answer of why or what got me started. I mean, I had a musical family and stuff. I just started playing and copying things I heard, and then I had very patient and dedicated parents who, provided me the things I needed so I could play music.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, my understanding is, though, they provided you with a drum kit so you'd stop playing the pots and pans.
Yes, right, yeah. Dad said, yeah, quit beating on our stuff and beat on these. So, yeah.
Well, that worked out pretty well.
Yeah, it worked out good.
So
I still own those drums, too.
Do you really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's
yeah.
great. That's great.
Yeah.
Did you take lessons, or how did you learn?
I was self-taught. I don't know, another reason I think I could say is I don't know why or how I was able to do this, but I just copied records that basically my brother turned me on to as a kid, and was able to kind of get it going in that respect. And then as I got older, then I definitely started studying. I went to lessons, went to music school and all of that more proper stuff as I became older. But as a kid, I just listened to records and copied what I was hearing.
Right. What kind of records?
Well, mostly rock stuff. In the early days, lots of Zeppelin and Genesis and King Crimson and Rush and all these kinds of different bands like that. And then as I got a little bit older, my tastes started to vary, and I got into jazz and R&B and funk and kind of other things.
All kinds of different stuff.
Yeah.
Right, right. So you went to school, you studied some music, you were taking lessons. What was kind of your first step into becoming a pro?
Well, just getting out there and playing live was the first step, even before recording. Just getting out there and doing gigs and playing with other people and other bands, and hopping around all kinds of different projects. The music school was great for that because I was able to do a bunch of different things and meet just new players and new people.
Right, right. So pretty early on you connected with Kevin Gilbert, is that correct?
Well, not so. That was about 24 when I met him. So there was a number of years before that where I was just kind of cruising around Los Angeles trying to find gigs and hustling like every musician does in that town. And then I met Kevin, and things took off at a higher level after meeting him. Right.
What were you doing with him? He's known for Toy Matinee and Giraffe, correct?
Yeah. Well, he was just in Toy Matinee. He had come out not too long before I met him, and I was a big fan of that record. And he was just in a group of players and producers and stuff that were making big records and much more high-profile things, rather than just playing in clubs and weddings and stuff like that. So I was able to kind of just get into a bigger, higher-level kind of crowd, so to speak, and make my name known.
Right.
And more opportunities came from that.
Yeah, right. Which obviously you capitalized on that.
I tried.
You ended up with some great gigs.
Yeah.
I mean, how did you make the connection with Tears for Fears, for example?
Well, that was, like I said, it was all through meeting Kevin. Kevin's drummer at the time was a guy named Brian McLeod, fantastic, wonderful drummer.
He's been on the Sweetwater Minute before.
Yeah,
We've had him here as our guest.
Exactly. And he was the Tears for Fears drummer prior to me, and he recommended me to Roland Orzabal. And that was kind of directly how I got the gig, from meeting Brian and knowing him. And same with the Genesis gig, through Kevin and another friend. They found out somehow that Phil Collins was leaving and there might be auditions, and so by just, they knew other things that other people didn't, and they kind of got me and pointed in the right direction.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So when you joined Tears for Fears, then you were with them for a number of years, right?
Yeah, for a long time.
Touring and recording, and what was that experience like?
Well, it was great because I was kind of, even though they weren't in their big heyday in the late 80s, they were still pretty popular, and I got to tour all over the world and play some really big concerts, and just kind of get into that kind of rock star world, high-end pop world where you're playing big shows, production, and drum techs and crew and all kinds of that stuff where you get spoiled.
Right. Just like here.
Just like here.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now you kind of glossed over it there, but you threw out very casually that you had joined Genesis after Phil Collins left. Tell us about that. What was that like? I mean, was there a lot of pressure coming into his chair?
Yeah, well, because he was my favorite drummer as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm literally, he really was. I was addicted to Genesis music and his style of playing and stuff, and I never in my wildest dreams thought I'd be at their studio playing, recording drums for them.
Right.
But yeah, I was touring with Tears for Fears, and I found out about this possible audition, so I went to the management company and brought him a CD and invited him to the Tears for Fears show and just said, you know, I'd like an audition if possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't hear anything for a good 6 months. And then their producer, Nick Davis, called and asked if I could send him some other stuff that I played on to hear more music. And then they said, yeah, well, let's fly you over to audition. So they flew me over to England, I auditioned, and then they flew me back again the second time to actually do the recording. Yeah, and it was crazy weird. I was staying in their studios, gold, platinum records all lining the walls. Phil Collins' drum room, where he got a lot of those sounds from those records. It was playing on a Gretsch kit. It was great. It was amazing.
That'd be incredible.
It was really cool. Yeah,
absolutely. And you've worked with a number of other artists as well. We were talking a little bit earlier, and you were telling a pretty incredible story about playing with Eric Burdon in Canada. Can you tell us that story?
Yeah, sure. I got the pleasure to fill in for Eric Burdon a number of times, and one of the crazy gigs we did was at a blues festival in Ottawa, Canada, and we were playing his old hit song, Sky Pilot, and during that song there's a big bagpipe section.
Right.
And there must have been 20, 25 bagpipe guys came marching up from the crowd up onto the stage, and we have this kind of very repetitive middle section of the song, and we're just repeating this groove for quite a while. Well, they didn't want to, or didn't hear the band, or just were off in their own world. And they kind of played at a different tempo, different time signature, different everything from what we were playing. And somehow it melded together into this really crazy polyrhythmic smorgasbord of stuff.
Right.
But no one went to the other side. No, like we didn't follow them, they didn't follow us. We were just kind of, everybody was like, had blinders on and went down the street. And somehow it all kind of came back full circle, and we all ended up on one when the next chorus came in. I don't know how it happened, but
Awesome.
It was a magical thing because it sounded weird, bad, good, and all at the same time. You know?
Right.
It was a really fun experience.
That's amazing when stuff happens like that.
Yeah, it was weird. I don't know how. I could never recreate it, even if I tried.
Yeah, right.
You know? Yeah.
Right. Totally by accident. Right. So, while all of this is going on, Tears for Fears, Genesis, filling in with different groups, doing studio work, tours, and all those things, you actually had another band that was going on this whole time.
Yeah.
And that was Spock's Beard.
Yeah.
And the band was founded early 90s, right?
1991.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Neal Morris and Alan Morris decided to start a prog band in Los Angeles, California, and they were looking for players, and we met at a blues jam one night near Universal Studios. And we all ended up sitting together on the same song, whatever it was, Roadhouse or something, you know.
Right.
And then we ended up talking afterwards, and Neal had put together like a jam session at our local rehearsal studio to meet other players and kind of network and stuff. And that's where we actually played a little more seriously at that thing. And then he had written a bunch of this progressive rock music, asked me if I wanted to check it out. He was maybe thinking about starting a band. And long story short, I heard the demos and decided to go for it with him. We had a different bass player at the very beginning, but that was the start of the whole thing. And it took a couple of years, but we ended up making our first record, Delight, after that, and kind of just
Went
propelling
from there,
forward.
right?
Yeah.
Became a major force in the prog rock world.
For a little
Definitely.
while, yeah.
Lots of tours, lots of albums, 10
Lots.
albums, something like that, right?
10 studio records and a bunch of live CDs and DVDs and all of that stuff.
Right, and tours. So you were with the band for 20 years?
20 years,
20
yeah.
years, right. So in addition to working with other artists, you've also done a couple of solo albums.
Yeah.
Right? Tell us about that.
Well, I write songs, as much music as I possibly can, and had the opportunity to, well, basically after Kevin Gilbert passed away in the late 90s, I was kind of caretaker of his studio for a while. He taught me how to engineer and work on consoles and splice tape and do the old tape machine stuff, though I could make tones and the MRL and all that kind of stuff back in the old days.
Right.
But so as I was taking care of his place, I was able to, make my own music and learn the gear and start engineering sessions and all kinds of stuff like that. And then I had a bunch of material and I kind of worked it into my first solo record there. And then after that, technology changed, Pro Tools and all that kind of stuff was starting to really come full swing, and laptop computers, and so then it was easier to be traveling and write music at the same time. So then I got to make a second record with Mark Hornsby, who is the lead engineer here at Sweetwater.
Right.
We did an EP called Pieces for Me, and then I wrote a ton of music for Spock's Beard as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then after that, you and your family ran away with the Circus.
We did. We joined the Circus. Yeah.
What was up with that?
Kind of weird career path I've been taking, but yeah.
Tell us about it.
Well, work was slow and not much was going on, struggling, it's always up and down, peaks and valleys as a musician. And work was slow, so I just, I knew about Cirque because I've seen shows in Las Vegas, and they always had great bands and players. The music sounded, at least it's my ears sounded really cool. Mm-hmm. So I went on their website, and they have a whole audition process that you can go through.
For Cirque du Soleil.
For Cirque du Soleil on their website, where they have tracks. You download the tracks and you record yourself playing whatever instrument or singing or whatever, and you send it back to them, and then you're in their system. And I did that, and I ended up getting a call and got offered the job right off the bat. I didn't have to do a physical in-person audition. I don't know why. I think it's because the composer of the show that I was on, Totem, is from Montreal. It was one of the composers was a drummer.
Okay.
And he liked the way I played, and they just kind of went through the back door, I guess, and asked me to join without the second audition if I was interested. And I said yes, and it took a while to say yes because of a lot of the family implications and leaving home and going on the road. But yeah,
Right.
we ended up all packing up our stuff and taking off, and I joined the Circus for almost 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Toured the world doing this?
Yeah, well, Europe and lots of the States and Canada.
Right.
1,500 shows I did before I ended up leaving.
Wow. Wow. That's a lot.
It doesn't
of shows.
include the dress rehearsals, the regular rehearsals and stuff. But yeah.
Wow. So you could pretty much play it in your sleep.
Oh, it was a lot of the same song
Yeah.
over and over and over
Right.
again. But it was good. It was a great experience. Got to live in 26 different cities we went to. Mm-hmm. My kids got a great education. The band was great. Mm-hmm. It was like being part of a big rock show night after night. I mean, they don't, they go for everything. Mm-hmm. There's lights and smoke and big PA, and then there just happens to be people doing triple backflips with no security net underneath them and
Wow.
doing all kinds of crazy stuff on stage. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
What fun.
It was good fun, yeah.
So you were the vocalist for part of your tenure in Spock's Beard, and you're also vocalist with
Cirque as well, yeah.
With Cirque as well.
Yeah,
So.
I've been singing my whole life.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Are you trained as a singer, or is it something that just came naturally to you?
I guess it came naturally as well, kind of like drum. Well, music just comes naturally to me. I don't know why, but yeah, I've been singing since I was a kid as well.
Right.
And then I focused more on the drums early on, and then I was just able to, the opportunities kind of came my way to start being a lead singer.
Right.
And I think my voice actually improved as I got older as well too. The sound of my own voice to my own ears got better. Mm-hmm. And then I learned more as I went along too. How to sing more properly than just screaming.
Right.
So yeah, the opportunities came, and then I just went for it. So and it was good. It was a good change of pace after doing one thing for such a long time. It was good, different way to go about it.
Right.
And different opportunities came because of it too.
Yeah. Right. And then one of your biggest credits, you and I played last Friday at the bar down the street.
That was one of the best gigs ever.
Ever, yeah, it was amazing.
Totally.
We're so glad to have you here.
It's good to be here.
You have already started contributing to NSYNC and to the website, reviews, how-to material, tech tips. You're working on videos, video reviews of things. So lots and lots of good stuff coming from you, and we're just so happy to have you on board here at
Thanks.
Sweetwater.
Appreciate it.
Welcome.
Good to be here.
Thanks, Nick. I'm Mitch Gallagher. Thanks for joining me for the Sweetwater Minute.